Hello everyone and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the parliamentary committees, right? That is a topic that we had started the discussion on, the parliamentary committees. And within this particular topic of the parliamentary committees, all these are the topics that we have scheduled for the discussion. Like starting with the meaning of the parliamentary committee, thereafter the classification of parliamentary committees, then the financial committees, the departmental standing committees, the departmental standing committees and their jurisdictions. Okay. Thereafter, committees to inquire, committees to scrutinize and control, committees relating to the day-to-day business of the house, housekeeping committees, and then the consultative committees. Okay. So these all are the committees that we have scheduled for the discussion. If we talk about the topics that we have covered so far, so basically we have done with the meaning part, we have done with the classification, we have done with the financial committees, right? The topics that we are left with are the departmental standing committees and their jurisdiction, committees to inquire, committees to scrutinize and control, committees relating to the day-to-day business of the house, housekeeping committees, and the consultative committee. Okay. So this is the picture that we have created so far altogether. So basically in this lecture, we are going to start with the departmental standing committees. All right. So financial committees we have completed in the previous lecture. This lecture is departmental standing committees. Okay. DSC you call it in a short. So if we talk about the departmental standing committee, the first we have to see from where it's established. Okay. On the recommendations of the Rules Committee of the Lok Sabha, 17 departmental related standing committees DRSCs were set up in the parliament in 1993. So that all started after the Rules Committee of the Lok Sabha recommended the formation of 17 departmentally related standing committees, and the establishment of this kind of committees after the recommendation was completed in 1993. Got it? That was the year of 2004 when 7 more such committees were set up. Like 17 were set up in 1993. In 2004, 7 more were introduced. So total number rises up to 24. Thus increasing the number from 17 to 24 as we have just seen. The main objective of the standing committee is to secure more accountability of the executive. Therefore, the Council of Ministers to the Parliament, particularly financial accountability. Okay. Like we know, there are the two types of committees, the ad hoc committees and the standing committees. What is the key difference between these two? The key difference between these two is the difference of establishment and existence. Okay. Like whenever we talk about the standing committees, we know the standing committees are the permanent committee. Okay. These are the permanent committee. Okay. And when we talk about the ad hoc committee, then we know the ad hoc committee is established on the temporary basis. Got it? That is the main thing, right? So here, if we are seeing that this is a standing committee, so the first thing is very much clear in front of us that it is a permanent committee. So when the permanent committee is here, so it means the permanent committee will have more power, more responsibility in comparison with the ad hoc committee that is basically established for some temporary basis on. Okay. So this permanent committee basically accounts the more accountability of the executive. And the executive here refers to the Council of Ministers. Okay. And the accountability is basically towards which? towards the departmental standing committee, which is automatically working for the parliament. So ultimate responsibility becomes to the parliament. Okay. And the main area where this committee is focused, this is the ensuring the financial accountability. Okay. Apart from ensuring the accountability, they also assist the parliament in debating the budget more effectively. Like whenever the finance minister of India presents a budget in the parliament. Okay. So in budget, we know there are the several kind of things. And what are these things? First is like what was the planned expenditure and the earned revenue in the previous year. The second is what is going to be the planned expenditure for this year and estimated revenue for this year. Thereafter, the budget allocation towards the different ministries and reasons for any surplus and any deficit in the previous budget. So these kind of things mentioned in the budget. Okay. One thing that is very important here is the allocation of fund to the ministries. Okay. Why? Because if we talk about the executives who are the part of the council of ministers, right? So these executives are working in some ministry or holding some ministry. Okay. So how they are getting the access to the finance? How they are getting? They are getting it from the fund that has been allocated to them through the budget. Okay. And if really we want to set their financial accountability towards the parliament in real terms, then first we have to discuss like how much fund has been allocated to them, why this fund is required from them, and what has been their performance so far. Like we can say, suppose if there is any XYZ ministry, for example, and that XYZ ministry is working in some particular area. While the ministry is working some area, they got rupees 40,000 crores in the previous year budget. Okay. But their performance was not that much of good. And even they had a huge deficit. So if already that kind of ministry suffered a huge losses in the previous budget, so is it good to allocate them more and more fund? Definitely not. Why? Because the performance of that particular ministry is not that we required, right? So how we will discuss this? So that could be find out by the departmental related standing committees. Okay, XYZ will be working for some particular department and the particular department they are from. Okay, they basically discuss the performance of the ministry. They will scrutinize the reasons for which the ministry required that much of fund, and they will make a proper report that would be discussed by the parliament during the budget session. Got it? That is the thing. So that's how they assist the parliament in debating the budget more effectively, because they presented the detailed report over the performance of the ministries, ultimately the performance of the council of ministers and the executive, and that rationalized the parliament whether they should allocate that much of fund to that ministry again or not. Thereafter, the 24 standing committees cover under their jurisdiction all ministry departments of the central government. Okay, it means that the council of ministers basically holding ministries that are under the central government. Okay, so if we really want to cover the every council of ministers person, or you can say if you want to cover the every minister, so basically we have to cover all the ministries and the departments that are workable under the central government. So if we are able to cover them, ultimately the entire council of ministers will be covered and their accountability could be set up. So that's why these 24 departmental committees basically you can say covers the all ministers and the departments and sets the ultimate liability and the accountability towards the parliament. Each standing committee consists of the 31 members. Now this is very important. Why? Because now we are going to talk about the composition. Every standing committee consists how many members? 31 members. And if we break down this number, then what we can get, 21 members are from the Lok Sabha. They are from the Lok Sabha and 10 members from the Rajya Sabha. And combinedly 31 members are there. Okay. So this particular, you can say, composition is very important. Okay. This particular combination is very important. The members of the Lok Sabha are nominated by the speaker from amongst his own member. Okay. You can say that the member of Lok Sabha by themselves selects a member from the Lok Sabha that is going to be the part of the departmental standing committee, and those members basically recommended by the or nominated by the speaker to be the part of that particular committee. Just as the member of Rajya Sabha are nominated by the chairman from amongst his members. So we can say technically the house members amongst themselves select a person whom they want to join the committee. And then the presiding officer of that particular house, it means speaker in the case of Lok Sabha and chairman in the case of Rajya Sabha, will automatically nominate the person to the departmental standing committee. Okay. Now, here are some norms regarding this. Okay. And what are these norms? Like these norms, you can say it's regarding the eligibility for the membership of that particular committee. Okay. Or the departmental standing committees. And these memberships are the first. The first is a minister is not eligible to be nominated as a member of any of the standing committees. Okay, this is the first case. Why? Because the standing committee is basically working for which? Working for the nomination or working for setting an accountability of the Council of Ministers or the Union Executive towards the Parliament. So, if a minister who by himself is an Union Executive, or you can say by himself is a part of Council of Ministers. Okay. So ultimately he will be holding any ministry under the central government. Okay. Or somehow will be related with any department of the central government. Okay. So what will be that? It means that if he will be a part of any committee, then what he can do? He can somehow manipulate the data. Okay. Somehow manipulate the data, and once the data will be manipulated, then what will happen? The scrutiny. Okay. The scrutiny of the facts and figures would be damaged. Okay. And when that will be damaged, automatically the report that the committee will be formed out for the discussion of the parliament, that will be not authenticated. Okay. So that's why it is the first norm for ensuring the fair inquiry by the departmental standing committee. A minister is not eligible to be nominated as a member of any of the standing committees under the general norms. Second, in case a member, after his nomination to any of the standing committee, is appointed a minister, he then ceases to be a member of the committee. For example, here is Mr. A, okay, who is selected as a member of XYZ committee. Okay. Then what happened? After this, Mr. A got in charge of the aviation ministry. Okay. Now what will happen? He has been appointed as an minister. Okay. And when he will be appointed as a minister, ultimately what he will become? He will become the union executive or the member of council of ministry. Okay. So ultimately, his membership will be cancelled. Why? By the first norm. And what does this first norm state? This first norm states that no minister would be eligible to be nominated as a member of any of the standing committee. So it doesn't matter that the person should already be a minister so that he could be declared as ineligible. Okay? Okay? If a person who was previously a member of the committee but later on appointed as an minister, automatically his membership to the committee would be ceased. Okay? Thereafter, the term of office of the each standing committee is 1 year from the date of its constitution. It means that if the committee was constituted on 1st January 2002, then that will be continued till 31st December 2002. Okay? So you will be say that any standing committee is not a permanent committee because it's only appointed for 1 year and then it got dissolved and new committee is appointed. Then how we can say that this is a permanent committee? And how we could say that this is not like an ad hoc committee? So in order to justify this thing, we could say the ad hoc committee are generally established for some special purpose and for short duration. Okay. Once the task completed, there is no need to re-establish the ad hoc committee again. But in case of the departmental standing committee, okay, departmental standing committee is only appointed for 1 year at a time, but it is in continuation. Okay, it means the appointment of the committee would be in continuation. It means after 1 year, it will be reconstituted, then reconstituted, then reconstituted, then reconstituted. It means the membership is only for 1 year, but the committee is permanent. The committee will be appointed again and again. So there is nothing like that. The committee will be stopped. Got it? Remember this. Thereafter, out of the 24 standing committees, the 8 committee work under the Rajya Sabha and 16 committees work under the Lok Sabha. Okay. So first we have seen the membership. 31 members, 21 from Lok Sabha, 10 from Rajya Sabha. Now we have seen the division within the committees. Okay. Like 24 standing committees were there. Okay. Out of these 24, the 8 committee belong to the Rajya Sabha and the 16 committees belong to the Lok Sabha. Okay. So this is again an important division that is to be learned. Okay. After this, the 24 standing committees and the ministries departments placed under their jurisdiction are showing below in the table that we are going to see. Okay. The functions of each of the standing committee are, please ignore this. Okay. Just remember the table. So the functions of each of the standing committees are, like we can say there are total 24 standing committees, right? 24 standing committees. And these 24 standing committees covers the various ministries and the departments under their jurisdiction. Okay. So the departments and the ministries that are put under the jurisdiction of these 24 committees, that could be differ from committee to committee. But the general function of this is like modus operandi. Okay. Or you can say a general mechanism of working of these committees would be same. Okay. That is not going to be changed with the type of ministry and the department. So we can say the functions of each standing committees are these that we are going to see. Okay. So let's start a discussion over them by one. Got it? So the first is to consider the demands for grants of the concerned ministries and departments before they are discussed and voted in the Lok Sabha. Okay. It means that During the budget session, what are the demands for grants put forward for different ministries and departments? These will be considered or checked by these departmental standing committees even before they are discussed and voted in the Lok Sabha. It means a report should not suggest anything of the nature of cut motion, but that will only formulate a report on these demands. Second, examine the bills pertaining to the concerned ministries and the departments. Third, consider the annual report of the ministries and departments to make out their performance. Got it? Fourth, to consider the national basic long-term policy documents presented to the houses. Okay. The following limitations are imposed on the function of these standing committees. First, that they could only check out their annual performance, but they should not consider the matters of day-to-day administration of the concerned ministries or departments. Why? Because the concerned ministries and departments are engaged in different works workable under the national interest. So if the committees interfere in day-to-day administration, then automatically what will happen? The work of ministries and departments will be hampered, and that will not be in favor of the national interest. Got it? So that's why they not interfere in that areas. So now we are going to see the name of committees and the ministries and departments covered by them one by one. First is the Committee on Commerce. And these are the committees in the Rajya Sabha. So how many they are in number? 10 they are in number, right? So the first is Commerce and Industry. That is under this. Thereafter, Committee on Home Affairs. Okay. So Home Affairs, and then the Development of Northeast region. Okay. Thereafter, the Committee on Human Resource Development. That covers human resource development, youth affairs and sports, women, child and development. Got it? Thereafter, Committee on Industry. Okay. That covers heavy industries and public enterprises, micro, small and medium enterprises. Got it? Thereafter, the Committee on Science and Technology, Environment and Forest. That cover science and technology, the space, earth sciences, atomic energy, environment, forest and climate change. Thereafter, the Committee on Transport, Tourism and Culture. This covers civil aviation, road transport and highways, shipping, culture and tourism. Okay. Thereafter, Committee on Health and Family Welfare. That covers health and family welfare, Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy. In short, the Ayush scheme. Okay. Thereafter, the Committee on Personal, Public Grievances, Law and Justice. That covers law and justice, personal grievances and pensions. Okay. So here we have covered these committees. Now we have to talk about the committees under the Lok Sabha. Okay. And please mark this. Total committees under the Rajya Sabha are 8, not 10. Okay. So please correct this. So the first is the Committee on Agriculture. That covers agriculture and farmers' welfare, fisheries, animal husbandry and dairying, food processing industries. Okay. Thereafter, the Committee on Information Technology. That covers the communication, electronics and information technology, information broadcasting. Thereafter, the Committee on Defense, that covers the defense. Thereafter, the Committee on Energy, that covers new and renewable energy and power. Thereafter, the Committee on External Affairs, that covers the external affairs. Thereafter, the Committee on Finance, that covers finance, corporate affairs, planning, statistics, and program implementation. Thereafter, the Committee on Food, Consumer Affairs, and Public Distribution, that covers consumer affairs, food, and public distribution. Okay. Thereafter, the Committee on Labor, that covers labor and employment, skill development and entrepreneurship, and textiles. Thereafter, the Committee on Petroleum and Natural Gas, that covers petroleum and natural gas. Thereafter, the Committee on Railways, that covers the railways. Thereafter, the Committee on Urban Development, that covers the housing and urban affairs. Thereafter, Committee on Water Resources, covers the Jal Shakti. Committee on Chemicals and Fertilizers, covers the chemicals and fertilizers. Thereafter, Committee on Rural Development, covers the rural development and the Panchayati Raj. Thereafter, the Committee on Coal and Steel, covers coal, mines, and steel. Committee on Social Justice and Empowerment, Social Justice and Empowerment, Tribal Affairs, Minority Affairs. Okay. So, these were the things. Okay. So, students, basically in this lecture, we have covered till here. In the next lecture, we'll start from here. Till then, just revise the facts and figures that all we have discussed in this lecture. Be ready for the next lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture and thank you.